taxes ultimately create the capacity to spend because they create the demand for the currency that you're spending, right? By introducing taxes, you are creating a liability for each member of society to a differing degree that they have to obtain the government's currency in order to settle that obligation. So what that means is when the government hands out welfare checks or when the government pays soldiers, that there is demand for that currency that they have paid them in. So you need the taxes, but the reason that you need the taxes is not because that's where the government is actually getting the money from, but that's what's creating the demand for the money. And this is actually one of the really troubling aspects that we've gone through as we continually lower taxes, is I would suggest that part of the reason that we experience many of the problems that we're experiencing is a function of us saying, you know what, let's reduce the demand for the US dollar. Right? I mean, famously, Donald Trump didn't pay taxes. Right? Now that's bizarre when you really stop and think about it, that a member of our society that has benefited most from the general resources and the luck associated with birth, genetics, everything else, right, has no obligation to society to respect our currency.
So
right?
Walk me through that again, because I'm still not, I've heard you say this a few times and I'm still not connecting the dots. I mean, I think, first of all, can we both agree that the vast majority of people who pay taxes currently believe that their taxes are used to pay for the services that express their values?
Yes. I agree that that's how most people think about it.
Okay. So let's put a pin in that. Now describe to me what the true utility of taxes are again, because I'm still not quite getting that.
The true utility is to create demand for the currency with which you are giving people or paying people to do what the government wants to do.
But doesn't private sector demand create that demand as well? I mean, anytime a consumer purchases something.
No, then you can just have, I mean, this is exactly the point that people have around private currencies, right? I mean, theoretically, I could work at, you see this all the time, right? Or you used to see this much more, company town. You get paid in company script. You can only use it to purchase goods from the company store, right? That's a system. It exists. It's exploitive, but it exists, right? How are you going to pay the rent to live in the company property? Well, you got to use company script. Will they accept dollars? No, they will not. Right? That's why our currency says on it, for settlement of all debts, public and private. It is the law that you have to accept that dollar. Right? It's the violation of that law that makes a company town so terrible. The fact that you're being paid in company script and you're being forced to shop at the company store where that can be used, right? If you tried to take your paycheck and cash it in and go somewhere other than the company store, they'd tear down your house. Right? That was exploitive and it was wrong and we got rid of it. Right? Now people try to look at the system of currency and think of it in the same way, and it is ultimately, right? What the US government is doing is it's saying, look, we're going to pay for education, we're going to pay for services around soldiers in the military, we're going to pay welfare checks to people, and what is going to get you to accept their script, right? The greenback that they receive. What is going to get you as an individual to accept that? Well, I'm going to create a liability for you as well. You must pay me a tax on your economic activity, right? So the first dollar that goes out has to be spent by the government without any taxation. How did they get it in the first place? Right? It has to come from the government first, and then they have to create a demand for it, which is what taxes are all about.